What's going on, guys? coverkillernation back with you again for another 2011 album review. And this one is from a band that I have not touched base on before, so this is a newcomer to the coverkillernation ears, eyes, and lore. This band has been getting a lot of attention ever since this disc was released only about a week or so ago. And that is the band Draconian with their album A Rose for the Apocalypse, a 2011 release. Now, we just had major storms here in the southwestern Pennsylvania area, and I will be honest with you, Draconian's A Rose for the Apocalypse is a perfect soundtrack for whenever something like that occurs. I know that I just asked in my previous video, what's the favorite style of music or the favorite albums that you like to listen to during rainstorms? Well, this one is one that you can add to the list. Draconian is a doom/death metal band that is able to combine those two elements together kind of in the vein of a November's Doom. It's one band that I hear a lot of influence in, even though the two are actually contemporaries, not one being influenced by the other. So what you get here is same style of music with some differences. For one, you're going to hear a little bit more of a symphonic element sometimes in Draconian's work, and secondly, the addition of female vocals in Draconian's work sets them apart, sets them differently from November's Doom in the fact that it is more consistently done. It's funny that I actually mention the name November's Doom, considering their singer worked with Draconian on a song on a previous record. Now, A Rose for the Apocalypse is an album that really grips you from the moment that you first start to listen to it. The very first track is a powerful opener, and that's something that really sets the bar high for this album to kind of continue to flow through. The very first couple of tracks are extremely strong on this record. They flow very well, not to mention the addition of both vocalists really kind of going one against one another is very, very nice. I gotta say this. I gotta say that the ethereal female vocals on this record are what cast it apart from a lot of other bands that you hear out there today, and makes Draconian, in my opinion, with this album, really a cut above the rest. It's something that's very nice. It suits the atmosphere so very well, and the vocals and the harmonies that she's able to output are just so beautiful that you kind of lose track of where things are going, and it's kind of a nice deviation. Everything else that's centered around that is also extremely well executed. The death growls are very gruff, they're very well projected, and the music that is incorporated behind it, the very doomy riffs, the very somber atmosphere that's created is just very well done. Overall, this album is one that flows together perfectly and almost seamlessly from front to back. There's very few points in time where everything seems a little tedious. It is a 64-minute long album, and for Doom, that's actually right around the average, and this is something that's also banking on the fact that this is a 10-track affair, as opposed to most albums of this traditional nature, which usually hover right around 8. So they're going with something a little bit more ambitious on this record, and the excess, as some people might call it, actually pays off very well. There seems to be a bit of a conceptual theme behind every one of Draconian's records, and while I'm not entirely too sure if this one actually follows that formula, it definitely has a feel to it. You feel as though this is a story that's being told from front to back, and the musical story is one that doesn't take many deviations from the standard journey, but whenever it does, you can feel it. You can feel whenever things get a little bit softer, whenever the mood gets a little bit more melancholy, that there might be some conflict going on if there is a story that's involved with this album. However, throughout this entire record, the mixture of the music combined with the powerful aspect of the vocals is something that makes this album very difficult to turn off, and that is the key. Draconian's A Rose for the Apocalypse will be known as an album that you have to listen to from front to back. This is an album where it's very difficult to stop, and because you're thinking to yourself as you walk away, well, what happens next? Even after you listen to this album a second or a third time, it's something that you kind of know what's going to happen in your mind because you've heard it, it's familiar to you, but you still think to yourself, well, I'd better go back and listen to it again. I might miss something. A Rose for the Apocalypse is very worthy of all the accolades that it's received. This is an album that we could potentially be seeing later on this year. I'm going to give this album a solid 8.25 out of 10, something I believe is to be fair. There's going to be no Cover Killer Nation says on this one. Instead, I'm going to let you guys know that I'm going to leave my Last.fm account information in the description box for you guys to use. If you guys have already added me on Last.fm, that's awesome. For those of you who have not, you now have your opportunity. Definitely check out that link, and definitely check out the new album by Draconian, A Rose for the Apocalypse, which is out now. You should definitely pick this one up and check it out, kids, because it is a good one. Keep it metal, and take care.